well before I needed to for breeding the following year. The cock is only at this stage about 9 months old. The problem with hen firefinches, they're very susceptible to egg binding, and many are lost, especially if they're put to breed too early. I would recommend that you get your birds in time and make sure you know that they're 12 months old before you give them a chance of breeding, and be sure that you don't put them to breed in low temperatures. Make sure the birds are fit, get plenty of calcium into them prior to the breeding season, and then wait till the temperature's right and give them a go. They are willing breeders. They've recently left a clutch of eggs which didn't hatch, so it won't be long before they're ready to build another one. Their nest is nothing special in this instance. You're going to see it in a minute, but it's beautifully lined inside, as they always are, with feathers, so you must give them plenty of feathers from an old pillowcase or something. You can see from here the distance I am away from them. This is the nest I'm just showing you. All I use is soft hay, coconut fibres, feathers to line it with, and perhaps a bit of sisal if I can get hold of it. They do sit tight on the nest, so don't go poking about, don't disturb them. One or the other one will be usually sat in there, if not both of them. That's the egg. As you can see, it was fertile, but for some reason it's not hatched. You can see the feathers in there. As you can see, she's ready to be mated here. He is a young bird. I don't think he's quite got the right idea yet, but she's very willing. This is the first of the young blue cap chicks that we've just seen the parents earlier. Both cock and hen are nearby, and the cock's trying to, there's two in this clutch, and the cock's trying to get the other one to come out. And you can see that's a young hen bird, and they're both sitting close by, paying a lot of attention to it. Proud parents. As you can see, he's going up there near to the nest, try and get the other one to come out. There are several pairs of gold breasts in here. It didn't work as well as I would have hoped for, because the cock blue cap was quite dominant, and although I didn't see him attack anything, he was disturbing him a bit. Didn't get as many chicks as I'd hoped for. This is back to the fostered cordon blues. Unfortunately, I'm going through this as it comes. I've got about 12 hours of tape to go through, so other than keep digging bits out, I'm more or less following on. This again is the yellow-winged petilias. As you can see, the molting. It's a bit easier to see the obvious three cocks to the right now, and the hen obviously without the red head. I don't know a lot about these species. What I've seen of them, they seem quite friendly little birds, but I've never had them mixed with anything else. So, but they are definitely, like all waxbills, willing breeders if you can get them into the right situation. If they won't feed the chicks, then you have to do something about it. Little gold breast praying about here in this nest basket. This is the outside section to the indoor bit that we've just seen with the blue caps. they often seem to spend time in these nest baskets even though they've no eggs and that, as if they're having a siesta to get out of the way of the sun. You often get a family of them doing this. You can just see in the background there, behind the little blue cap, one of the young goldbreasts has come out. Picture's not very good. This is one of the young blue caps that's found its way into the outside section. The lighting will be better out here. As you can see, there's no blue on its chest at all, none down that wing. Obvious hen. You might be tempted when you go to a dealer, you'll be looking at these birds and that they could be juveniles, to go for a hen that's got more blue on it. But what you might in effect be doing is getting a juvenile cock. Unless you're really sure about these things, I would say go for the one with the least blue on it. And that way you've probably a better chance of getting a hen. So what often happens is the ones with the most blue on, a couple of months down the lane, have moulted out and you've got a young cock bird. In an ideal world you'd perhaps go to a breeder, but there aren't enough breeders in the country breeding these birds, and there aren't enough to go around, so sometimes the dealer's your only option. Most of us breeders are swapping between us anyway, so if you can get in on the ladder, get these birds breeding, you've got a better chance of getting hold of other birds. Here are the few of the birds just going to have a bath. It's a lot easier to give them a bath in a communal aviary than individual cages, but that's just one of the good points of it. So you can see this water, it's not very deep, only about half an inch. This is two young cordon blues from a different father to what we saw previously. Same hen with a bent leg feeding the baby. She may have a bent leg, but it's not stopped her being a really good breeding hen. You can see that left leg bent. I'm not sure just what this hen cordon blue's doing here. This is the hen again with a bent leg. Whether it's some sort of drying process or whether it's a mating display, I don't know. You can see her behaviour is a bit odd. I did see her do this again when she was had a bath, so whether this is part of a drying process, I don't know. But it also has the look of mating behaviour. Here are some of my dishes that I put the seed in and egg food. Just out in the sunshine to dry. They've been disinfected in bleach 24 hours, then washed in salt and water and then left to dry. These are some seeding grasses I brought from across the field. They've been soaked in AV cleanse or something similar for a couple of hours, then all rinsed off and put to dry. And as you can see, our cat's decided this is a nice little place for her to go and have a little sit down in. I still get asked what are the seeding grasses. Well, it's what grows in your fields. I don't suggest you get it from anywhere where cats and dogs are, or again it'll need you know, cleaning or something, but you'd be better trying to get it from a cleaner area. Some people are worried about crop spraying on these grasses, but as it's fodder for cattle and horses later, I don't know whether they do spray it or not. I just know it's the birds' favourite diet when you can get it. This is one of the young goldbreasts we saw indoors earlier. The goldbreasts can be really good parents, and some you get might be just the opposite. I once had some chicks come out with another bird, and he wasn't feeding them right. He must have fed them long enough until they came out the nest, and then they were spinning round in circles on the floor, begging for food, but he wouldn't feed them. In that case, I didn't intervene, and they all died. Another bad sign to listen for is if it's drawing near dusk and your chicks are begging for food. It's not the normal begging sound. It's really begging and making a lot of noise. Under those circumstances, if you want to intervene and unfeed them, you might save them. It's almost certain that the following morning they'll be dead on the floor. If they're begging for food as dusk approaches, they're going to roost with empty stomachs. It's always a good sign when you see one of the parents sitting near the chicks. It shows they're taking good care of them. And the chicks are sat happy and quiet and not forever begging for food all day. You know they're getting well looked after. This is the fostering situation I mentioned earlier. This is the old cock, blue cap. In that nest is 6 chicks. For some reason they were eating his eggs, and so I put pot eggs in for them to sit on. And when the time came that these youngsters weren't getting fed, I switched them over, and this pair's now looking after them. What you see here are a lot of the young hens from last year. There were a lot of hens that came out of those birds, and they're between 6 and 9 months old now, waiting to be mated up sort of next year, when they're over a year old. You need this extra space to keep extra birds anyway, and this is something you've got to take into account. It's no good just having a pair of everything, because if you lose one, you're in trouble. You need to specialise in 1 or 2, 3 species, whatever you want to do, and keep plenty of that variety, both cocks and hens. As you can see, a lot of healthy birds there. People all over the country have been going mad for these birds this year. Without doubt, one of the easiest waxbills to breed, in my opinion, the blue-capped waxbill and the red-cheeked cordon blue. You just have to remember that during the breeding season they are insectivorous, and you've got to remember that in the diet. But in a mixed collection such as these, they are the dominant birds, and they're usually the ones that breed. They're very adaptable, the blue caps. They'll breed in a lot of different environments, which makes them an ideal candidate for establishing. Not only that, there's no subspecies. It's just the one type, so you can't go wrong. They are one of my favourite birds. Very adaptable, very interesting, and easy to sex, both as adults and as juveniles. The only time it's difficult is when they're going through a moult, and that can throw you a little bit. As you can see, he's very attentive to one of his chicks. And this in a bird that's probably lucky if he's a year old himself. Here you can see one of the little gold breasts in a bit better light. I'm in and out of the sheds during the day. They're not always there to be seen, and you've just got to hope that the light's right when something's interesting happening, but usually it isn't. But that's a nice view of the little. This cock blue cap will be rushing to get dry, as he's now got another clutch of chicks on the way, and he'll still be looking after his others. Here you can see the three gold breasts together, hen to the right preening herself, baby in the middle, cock to the left. Although you can't see it, cock's better colours and red eye stripe, which the hen doesn't have. And the youngster will get its colours quite a bit later. There's a bit closer view. You always notice them jumping as other birds fly past. That's one of the problems with having too many birds in an aviary. But if you breed well, you start off with a few pairs, and that's the situation. I can't catch these up as it is because all the nests are inside, and that's where I usually catch the birds. If I do that, I'll disturb everything. And there's a better view of the cock. I had out to get a few black crowns in on this, as there's a clutch of chicks, 6 chicks just fledged in here, but I haven't really got time to put much on. So hopefully I'll do a carry on to this and do another video after it. Put more of the black crowns in there. This is where the 6 foster blue cap chicks have just come out. You can hear all the noise that the cock's making. The picture's a bit jumpy. As you can see, there he is. There's the nest, there's one on top of it. They're scattered about all over really. As you can see, this section is about 3 foot wide, 2 foot deep, and about 3 foot high. It's one of the younger ones. There are a couple hiding in that bit of conifer because he does tend to be a bit stroppy, this cock, when the chicks come out. If they're jumping about, he chases them. Here are the 6 fostered blue caps again. Well, some of them anyway. This just proves you don't have to foster birds under Bengalese. You can foster them under other waxbills, as I've done a few times now, depending on if everything's at the right timing. All these 6 chicks again reach maturity. You might have a while getting your birds to initially learn to feed chicks, but once they've got the idea, that's usually it from then onwards. Here they are again. I say it's the same pair of birds, the old pair, but in a smaller cage this time. Nowhere near as big as the last one, last year. And after they'd raised these 6 chicks, the hen went to nest again, and they had 2 chicks of their own, and they both reached maturity as well. Here you can see he's still got plenty of rattle, making plenty of noise. Here are the yellow-winged petillias again. 3 cocks are easily identifiable now. The reddy's coming well, and the hen obviously to the right, easy to identify. These birds are now independent. As you can see, they're very healthy. They've had a good start in life. Hopefully some of them next year might even rear their own chicks. Here again is the blue caps, and they're a little bit older here, and this is where I'm going to finish with this one. I've got quite a lot of footage, and it's going to have to go on to another one.